everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040, bringing to you another edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series. And June 3rd, 2002 marks 21 years ago that Shawn Michaels made his shocking return to WWE on Raw when he was announced as the newest member of the NWO by Kevin Nash. And for today's edition, I am going to be talking about the success and failures of Shawn Michaels as a member of the NWO. And this is also going to be the first of two parts where I am going to be talking about Shawn Michaels' second run in WWE from June 2002 to March 2010. So this will be part one, where I am going to be talking about the success and failures of Shawn Michaels as a member of the NWO from June 2002 to July 2002. So, as we all know, Shawn Michaels back in 1998 was at the top of his game as the WWF champion, and he sustained a severe back injury at the Royal Rumble during a casket match against The Undertaker, and he competed in his final match at WrestleMania 14 in the main event, where he dropped the WWF title to Stone Cold Steve Austin, thus passing the torch to him as the next top guy for the company. And Shawn Michaels would go into a 4-year hiatus of not competing in the ring, but that wasn't the case that Shawn Michaels was completely gone. He would return in a number of different roles. He would come back in the summer of 98 as a guest commentator with JR and the King. And then a few months later, he would come back as the commissioner, where he would turn heel by turning on DX and joining Vince McMahon's corporation. And then after that, he would be effectively fired from the corporation and then later on taken out by Vince McMahon's corporation members, where he would be written off TV to undergo back surgery. But of course, as we all know, Shawn Michaels' drug problems were just spiraling out of control. He was developing a very bad attitude, which just got progressively worse over the years and became extremely bitter. But he would still make odd appearances on WWF TV throughout 99, including a one-off appearance on the pilot episode of SmackDown, where he was the special guest referee in the main event, which featured The Rock versus Triple H, and Shawn Michaels, of course, cost The Rock the WWF title and helped Triple H retain. And then he would be brought back again in 2000 as a special guest referee in the 60-minute Iron Man match, which also featured The Rock versus Triple H. But then after that, we wouldn't see him again. He would still make odd appearances here and there on TV, but as far as competing in the ring, it looked like, for all intents and purposes, he was done. So, fast forward to June 2002, the NWO were already in WWE after being brought into the company by Vince McMahon at No Way Out, and Hollywood Hulk Hogan was on SmackDown as a babyface, and Scott Hall was fired due to his ongoing drinking problems. So Kevin Nash came out, had this massive announcement that would shake the company to its very foundations, and he announced that there was going to be a new member of the NWO, and then out comes the one and only, the Heartbreak Kid himself, Shawn Michaels, in NWO colours. Now, I didn't actually see this live because I didn't have Sky by then, but my best friend phoned me up and said, "Did you watch Raw?" And I said, "No, I haven't watched Raw," because by that point, after the draft, I pretty much was more or less done with Raw. I was more of a SmackDown guy. So I said, "No, I haven't seen Raw." "Why, what happened?" He said, "You never guessed who joined the NWO." I said, "I don't know, shock me." He said, "Shawn Michaels." And I remember screaming down the phone saying, "What? What? Shawn Michaels is back?" And he said, "Yep, Shawn Michaels is back, and he's a part of the NWO." And I remember asking him, "Well, how did the fans respond? I bet they completely booed it out of the building. And he said, no, they absolutely went crazy. They were so pleased to see Shawn Michaels back. So the next day, I went around his house, and this was the good old days of VHS. So he recorded it, and I watched it, and it was a shocking moment. You know, seeing Shawn Michaels in the NWO shirts prancing around to his iconic HBK theme. It was just nuts, and the fans just went absolutely crazy. I won't lie, it was great to see Shawn Michaels back. I have missed him so much. I always hoped he would come back, but seeing him in the NWO was just odd. It really was, because Shawn Michaels was the ultimate bad boy of DX back in 1987 to 1988. And just seeing him coming out in the NWO music was just really weird and very awkward. But I suppose at the same time, it kind of makes sense because, you know, Hall and Nash being his buddies in the clique, it just, I guess it kind of made sense, but at the same time, it just looked really weird seeing Shawn Michaels in NWO colours. Just imagine if you saw Hulk Hogan coming out in the DX shirt doing the crotch chop. That would just look weird. That's how I felt with Shawn Michaels as a member of the NWO. Now, obviously, this run was very short, June 2002 to July 2002. So that was basically a month, and the NWO were done. Shawn Michaels didn't really do a lot in the NWO. Obviously, he didn't compete because, you know, he just had back surgery, and he made it very clear that he was never going to wrestle again. I suppose it was okay, but I just didn't really like it that much. It just didn't really click with me, no pun intended. Seeing Shawn Michaels in the NWO, I just wasn't a fan of his. I didn't necessarily hate it. It was just weird. It was just really, really weird. And I got the sense that this return, unlike his previous ones, if you'd call them returns, I look at them as more like one off appearances. Something felt different about this. For starters, Shawn Michaels looked in amazing shape. Not that he's ever looked bad, he's always kept himself in great shape, but here he looked really, really good. He looked very healthy. It was quite obvious that he got his act together, packed up the drugs, and cleaned himself up, and he looked really good. And you could really tell that this time round, Shawn Michaels was a completely different person to the monster that we saw on TV many years earlier. So, in that sense, I suppose that was different. So, it was good to see Shawn Michaels looking well, looking more relaxed. He didn't look like he had the entire world on his shoulders. You know, he just looked like he was just there to have a blast with his friends. Now, in terms of the success and failures, I love Shawn Michaels. He's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. He's up there with Undertaker and Kurt Angle. I'm going to say this was a failure because the NWO didn't last long. Kevin Nash tore his quad. You know the rest there. And then Vince McMahon came out the following week and said the NWO was dead. So pretty much it's really. X-Pac got released. Big Show ended up on his own. Shawn Michaels pretty much ended up on his own, didn't do a lot. So yeah, it was pretty much a failure, if you ask me. I mean, I know you had that whole angle where Shawn Michaels reached out to Triple H and extended an offer for him to join the NWO, and then he threatened him and say, "Join us or else," you know. So it would have been nice to see that angle pay off. I know there was supposed to be something happening at Vengeance that year, but we all know that it got cancelled. That's the only way I could describe it. But yeah, I would probably say Shawn Michaels' run as a member of the NWO was a failure. Now, if this had happened, I don't know, say maybe 1997 or early 98, I probably would say it would have been successful. Would have been weird, but I think it would have been successful. But I just think the timing was not there. Things were different. Shawn, of course, was different. And in all honesty, I just don't think Shawn Michaels was a good fit for the NWO. If Scott Hall was still there, maybe we could have been having a different conversation. But Yeah, I kind of look at this as a failure, and I hate to use that word in the same sentence with Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, failure. I don't really like using that word because I've never really looked at Shawn Michaels as a failure. He's been a winner since the day he came in. But I look at the NWO run, even though it was very short, kind of look at it as a bit of a low point because Shawn didn't do much. If he wrestled a couple of matches, then maybe I could have put it up a bit higher. But didn't do much, cut some promos, super kicked the Big Show, super kicked the hell out of Booker T. Poor Booker. But yeah, other than that, this was pretty much a failure. But what happened after, that's another conversation for another time, which we will get into. But yeah, Shawn Michaels' NWO run from June 2002 to July 2002 was, sorry to say, love you HBK, but this was a complete failure. Don't know what else to say, really. So that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What was your thoughts on Shawn Michaels' run as a member of the NWO? Did you enjoy it? Do you deem it a success or a failure? Did you find it odd? Was there any favourite moments you had during Shawn Michaels' NWO run? Or did you just not care for it at all? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. And I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series, where I'm going to be talking about Shawn Michaels' entire second run from August 2002 to March 2010. So make sure you don't miss that. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.